Today on Locked On Red Wings, what went right for the Detroit Red Wings this season?
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. Scotty's a host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a sports writer for C&G newspapers, while I am a color commentator for Oakland University, ACHA D1 men's hockey. And Scotty, we are going to do the inverse of yesterday's episode, titled What Went Wrong? Today, what went right for the Detroit Red Wings this season? And just like the title suggests, pretty much every single bullet point will be inversed on today's episode. Not by plan, but that's just kind of how the season was. The flip side of every coin was very good or very bad, depending on which side of the coin you're looking at. So we'll talk about that in today's episode. Got to let you guys know that today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Also want to thank you guys for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every day. We are free and available anywhere you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Scotty, when talking about things that went right for the Detroit Red Wings this season, I think it would be remiss of us to not start with the thing that we have been begging for years in this rebuild, and that would be the actual official youth movement hitting the NHL roster.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You know, there's a couple players that I think there's a handful that obviously we are excited about still that are a ways away from the NHL, but there's still some knocking on the door as well, which I think is super exciting, that are pretty close to the NHL. Obviously, the headliner in that is probably Kosa and or Danielson, but like the fact that we finally got a huge influx of young talent was really exciting. And I think the thing that made it more exciting or more, I guess exciting really is the word, but the thing that made it the coolest was the fact that they were good. Like it wasn't just, we're going to maybe sacrifice games at the NHL level just to make sure that these guys get playing time, whatever. Like, no, we talked about it yesterday, right? Like, it was really the veteran production that was a little lackluster this season, and the youth movement was absolutely fantastic. And obviously we can go kind of name by name, but it's a great blend of careers. Like it's you have your Seider and Raymond, who have been in the league a couple of years and are kind of established, but still young and really good. Then you have like your literal, rookies, first and second year guys. And then you have obviously the veterans on the team. But I think that this was really, really exciting just because we finally got it and it worked. Both of those things
Right.
are not guaranteed.
Right. When we talked about reasons why this team would regress, we thought maybe because the youth would be here, they wouldn't produce as much as veterans that you may have let go. That wasn't actually the reason why they regressed. The youth came in and they did a phenomenal job. It was the veterans you brought in to replace the other veterans that did not perform. That was part of the main reason you regressed. Like Marco Kasper, again, most notably of the youth movement, right? The guys who were brought in this season for their first full year was the most impressive to me, alongside Simon Edvinsson, who wasn't technically a rookie, but for all intents and purposes was. He was functionally a sophomore, though. Both those guys led the way, led the charge for impactful young players. Marco Kasper, we've talked about it, right? Underneath Todd McLellan, he was fantastic. Saw his role increase, playing top-line winger for Larkin and Raymond. He meshed well with them, and then when Kopp got hurt, had to play second-line center. They did not want to put him at center because he was playing so well on that top line, but they had to put him back there because they lacked center depth, and wouldn't you know it, he was really damn good there. That Kasper, Kane, and Cat line was electric for the rest of the season. Right. The only issue that Kasper had in his rookie year really was his faceoffs, which he's going to dedicate to working to. And I'm not really worried about his faceoff percentage yet because he is so young and he still has more room to physically gain muscle and get better at that role. He was incredible. Came 1 goal shy of a 20-goal season after not scoring for what felt like forever under Derek Lalonde, right? He was pigeonholed on the third line. That line, whatever line he was on, had good underlying analytics, but they would never score. But the moment Marco Kasper got bumped up under Todd McLellan, he started producing. He was the best rookie in the league, one of the best rookies, top 5 rookie in the league post-Christmas because of his growing confidence. So Marco Kasper, I think, is leading the charge, but there's so many other guys too, right? Simon Edvinsson, top 4 defenseman right off rip, what we demanded of him, and he was up to the task. He was incredible playing, and then when he was forced to join Moritz Seider early in the season and then again late, they were the best pair on the team by a large margin.
Yeah.
Right. It's funny how eventually both coaches made the same decision. It's like, we kind of need these guys together. But they were a fantastic defensive pair, and that's a great thing to see. Obviously, you saw some wear and tear at certain points of the season, playing that difficult of minutes, but you saw the potential. 30 points in his first full season, too, which is nothing to cough at as a scoff at.
It's
as
like cough. Who's coughing at people? That's gross.
It's me. I'm coughing a lot right now. It was a great season for those two. Those two were, for me, definitely, and most obviously too, right? The most impactful youth added to the team, and they've shown tremendous potential to keep growing.
For sure, and I think that is the other notable thing from the group of youth that we saw. Goodness, dude, right when he starts talking about coughing, he just hacks up a lung. It is truly the fact. Oh my gosh, he's really having a tough time.
I swallowed the water wrong and it made it worse.
Oh my gosh, he didn't even actually cough because he's sick. It just
triggered it.
Right. He literally can't drink water correctly. I think that is the other cool thing about this prospect pool is that you have some guys like Edvinsson and Kasper that you're expecting. You know, Kasper, we all want to be a top 6 kind of fixture in this lineup going forward. Then we have Edvinsson, who I think at a minimum we want to be a top 4 defenseman, if not just on that top pair with Seider. But then you also have guys that you are very okay with kind of filling in the gaps, you know, down the lineup card. I'm so sad, I guess really is the word, that Mazur didn't get more of a legitimate look this year because of the injury immediately. But like, that's a guy that I'm sure will get a really legitimate look in that bottom 6 next season and kind of be one of those gritty players that this team needs. And Aljo is a great one too. I mean, if he's going to be a solidified like bottom 4 defenseman on this team going forward, and that's a huge win for the organization. So like the fact that there's a lot of youth that are going to fill a lot of different roles and not just, we're just banking on all these guys to be superstars is the sign of a healthy organization, actually, because, you know, what I just explained never actually happens.
Yeah, and, you know, nice little factoid about Carter Mazur, though, is he did finish the season with the league's highest Corsi 4 percentage at a 100%. So if you go on natural stat trick and you filter 5-on-5 by Corsi 4 percentage, he's number 1. And that's because he played 1 minute and 10 seconds and registered 1 shot attempt for, 0 against in that time. So he's always the top of that list, baby. No, but I completely agree. Carter Mazur, unfortunately, getting kind of got just the terrible luck there for that to happen to him. Sucked. And he'll be part of the continued youth movement next year. Like, I'm confident he's going to make the opening night roster. He's going to be great as a bottom 6 player, really going to help drive the offense down there as well. But, you know, Albert Johansson was a guy that we were like 6th defenseman, right? We were 6th defenseman, maybe 7th defenseman. He'll be an NHL player, but we didn't have high expectations. And then McLellan came in and he went from a 7th defenseman healthy scratch every night to playing with confidence on the second pair. Now, do I think his long-term usage is a second pair defenseman? No. But to see that he can play into that role with a defensive partner who he has good chemistry with is encouraging to see. He gave us more than what we were expecting. He was a huge win for the Red Wings. Elmer Soderblom, somebody that you and I had completely written off going into this season, and that's on us. That's our fault. Elmer proved us wrong, and we're happy to be wrong. He got called up after McLellan got taken over and had 11 points in 29 games played, something like that. He looked like almost every shift he was having an impact no matter where he was in the lineup. Now, there's still things he got to work on, but you can see him continuing to skate to further benefit himself from his size, where in the past he was just coasting on being 6'8". Right. The list continues to go on, right? And that's not even talking about the fact that guys like Moritz Seider and Lucas Raymond, who are still part of your youth, they're your young core. Those guys are what, 24 and 23 respectively. These guys are like just entering their prime, if not like not even fully into it yet. Lucas Raymond set another career high with 80 points. And that was the first player to ever hit 80 points since Henrik Zetterberg in 2011. Moritz Seider hit 43 points, 44 points, whatever it was, 46 points by the end of the regular season. I didn't even realize it was 46 points by the end of the regular season. His second highest point total since he hit 50 his rookie season, while handling some of the tough and most minutes in the league and getting a bulk majority defensive zone deployments and getting power play 1 and power penalty kill 1 time as well. Like, he is legitimately, I will speak nothing but love about Moritz Seider's season he had this year. He was fantastic. He did everything for this team and more. But the list can go on. You can name more guys. Kosa made his debut too. He will run it in a shootout, but like, this is the biggest thing. Like, when you're talking about having a glass half full, a mentality with this team, this is your glass half full right here. Is your youth movement came, it showed up, and it was impactful. When you want to praise Steve Yzerman, right? We criticized him yesterday, for the things that he did not do well. The things that he has done well is his amateur scouting group and his drafting, because these guys that he is picking are now coming up to the NHL level and they are contributing from day one. And that's hard to accomplish. Now, are any of these guys superstars? I think Moritz Seider very well could be. I think Lucas Raymond may have superstar potential, right? If he doesn't have two major slumps in scoring, he's looking at 90-plus points. He was at a 90-point pace most of the season. Those two guys are your primary candidates. The rest, right, I think they're very good, top 6, middle 6 tier of players. But the point being is these are guys who are young and under team control, and that's a credit to Steve Yzerman. So if that's your glass half full opinion, it's that the youth is working out.
Agreed.
We're going to head to segment 2. When we return, we'll talk about probably the power play and Cat and Kane, because those two guys are huge additions, or huge contributors, I should say, to the power play. So stay tuned to segment 2 of Lockdown Red Wings. Did you know your Fire TV is also an Xbox? Turn any TV into your gaming chair and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign in to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports College Football 25 to Call of Duty Black Ops 6 and Avowed as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. With 4K streaming, watch more than 1.5 million movies and TV episodes from your favorite subscribed services like Netflix, Prime Video, Disney+, Max, and more. Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost of a console. Already have a console? A Fire TV Stick 4K device is more affordable and easier to travel with, allowing you to take you or your kids' games wherever you go. Head to Amazon.com/FireTV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K second generation, the first and second generation of Fire TV Stick 4K Max, and the third generation of Fire TV Cube. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. Scotty, where do you want to go to next for what went right for the Red Wings?
We can talk about some of the veterans that we didn't talk about yesterday, some of the veterans that went right. This is again, you can kind of split the room in half, but there are a couple of exceptions there. Obviously, Patrick Kane, since McLellan took over, was fantastic. in terms of offensive production and in terms of helping the power play. And then DeBrincat, I mean, we'll do our player grades, end of season player grades here in the coming weeks, but I have a hard time believing Cat isn't going to be one of the highest graded players in the entire organization for this year. I think especially coming off of the down year last year and kind of what was expected of him, which being, lower after the disappointing year last year. He had an unreal year and was a goal away from 40. So fantastic. And I think the two of them kind of highlight the maybe older pillars in the organization. Cat's not old, but like you get my point, right? He's on this team that is filled with a lot of youth. He is older
for sure, and I think that's incredibly fair. Cat, right? Our expectations of him coming into the season were to have a bounce back year, score more consistently, but do so at maybe we were saying 33 to 35 goals, 30 to 35 goals, something along those lines. He blew that out of the water, scored 39, was vying for his 40th all game long, had 70 points and 31 assists. He was a difference maker every single night. And to his credit again, I think his defensive game took a little bit of a step forward too, giving full effort on both sides of the ice. Now, granted, he's not as skilled defensively as he is scoring, but the effort was there, and a lot of the times, for me, that's what counts. As long as you're not being lazy, then I respect your game. And I never accused Alex DeBrincat of being lazy this season. He was always hustling to try and score goals. He's a competitor, and I love that. Patrick Kane, I would make the argument, can sometimes be very lazy on the ice. But that second half of the season he had underneath Todd McLellan, I mean, he was brought in to do one thing and one thing only, and that was produce. And when McLellan came in, I don't know if it was because of McLellan or just the timing synced up with when he got out of that funk, he was incredible. An 86-point pace, just Patrick Kane, man. That was great to see, and I'd love to have him back yet again for another year. That deal, just like he said in the media availability the other day, the deal worked out for both parties. Let's see if they could do it again, because another year of them on that power play would be incredible, which, by the way, Scotty, talking about direct inverses, Red Wings penalty kill was the worst penalty kill in Red Wings history. Well, this power play at 27% was the best power play in Red Wings history by about 2 whole percentage points. This power play was electric.
It's so annoying. It's right. Just so obnoxious, dude. Here's the best power play in the history of one of the most storied organizations in sports, nonetheless hockey. And then paired with that, in the special teams unit, you're going to have one of the worst penalty kills in the history of the sport. And having both of those in the same year just feels super unfair. And you don't really get to... We'll focus on the positives. I'll stop crying, but it just makes it so that you don't really get to enjoy the great power play as much as we probably should have, because you knew that if you went on the kill, you were giving up at least one, and it almost washed, it almost evened out in a messed up way. So. The special teams as a whole was something going into the year that was a hot topic of conversation. A lot of people were expecting the power play to take a little bit of a step forward, be a little bit better. It did that, and then some. Went way above and beyond. Obviously, Patrick Kane, a huge part of that. Kind of really, you can define what he did, I think, as quarterbacking the power play. As weird as it sounds, even though it's from the right wing, he still, you know what I mean? He was,
because he commands your attention,
right? He determines everything that happens on the ice, and including where the puck goes more times than not. So really impressive. Obviously, very good production, like we mentioned, from Cat. And this is also a power play that lost its defenseman for power play one, and the unit improved, right? Gostisbehere we talked on yesterday's show, was fantastic on the power play last year, and that was
biggest attribute,
right? That was his biggest thing. That was the thing he brought the most to the table, and the Red Wings did not bring him back, and yet the power play was better And not that, he was holding it back or anything. He's great. It's just this year the power play was really good, man. And so hopefully, I don't expect it to be as good as it was this year. I don't expect it to be best power play in Red Wings history good, but I think the hope is now that you bring back most of this cast of characters and you have one of the more dynamic power plays in the league again next year.
Well, that's exactly it, too. It's that power play unit 1 that was so lethal. It felt like whenever that power play unit 1 touched the ice, they were going to score. Also, whenever they took a penalty, it felt like they were going to get scored on. But again, I digress. You list the names of the 5 players that are on that power play. Dylan Larkin, usually in the bumper. You have Lucas Raymond or Alex DeBrincat, who are rotating on the flanks / down low. You have Patrick Kane on the other flank. You have Moritz Seider playing your point man up high, your quarterback in a traditional sense up high. And those 5 names are just so chock full of talent. Moritz Seider too, right? I looked this up because I was curious. He was 9th in the league amongst defensemen in power play points. So like he proved he can carry the power play as PPQB1 from as a defenseman. So, and that's if you bring Kane back, that this is a power play you're going to be able to continue to have for years to come, right? All these guys are locked up for multiple years. The next contract that's up besides Kane is DeBrincat, and I don't see why you wouldn't extend him at this point. So this is not just a great thing this year. It's a great thing that's going to continue. Power play unit 2 has some work to be done, but that's just because a lot of those guys are, I wouldn't call it, they're not leftovers, but they're just the second tier down. That's why they're power play 2. So hopefully Simon Edvinsson can prove he can quarterback that one. That'd be sick.
Is that how that works?
Typically, yes.
Okay, cool.
In the game of hockey.
In hockey.
Just hockey.
Right.
We're going to head to another break. When we return, we'll talk about the final point, which would be Todd McLellan and the spark he brought to the team. Stay tuned to Locked On Red Wings. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, and if you've never been to a live NHL playoff game, it's unlike anything else. The intensity, the speed, the energy in the building, it's next level, and thanks to Game Time, getting in the door is easier and more affordable than ever. Game Time is the fastest way to grab playoff tickets, even for those must-see matchups. Prices actually drop as puck drop gets closer, and with last-minute deals, you can save up to 60%. The all-in pricing shows the total cost upfront, no surprise fees at checkout. The app even shows you panoramic seat views so you know exactly what you're getting before you buy. And with Game Time ticket coverage, I know I'm protected, whether it's cancellation protection, job loss assurance, or their 24-hour guarantee. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download the Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Segment 3, Locked On Red Wings podcast, talking about what went right for the Red Wings this season. Yesterday, we covered what went wrong. Just like how hanging on to Derek Lalonde for too long was a negative yesterday as part of what went wrong. What went right, I would say, would be Todd McLellan coming in and very nearly dragging this team to the playoffs anyways. When he took over, they were 8 points out.
Yeah, big time. And that's something we talked about a little bit yesterday as well. I mean, the from when he was hired until the end of February was some of the most fun Red Wings hockey we have experienced in a very, very long time. And I think that he deserves a lot of credit for that. Obviously, the players do as well. But I think, the way Andrew Kopp put it in post-season availability was, I think, best, where he just said that McLellan came in and really focused on trusting your instincts and just playing, in instinct hockey. And I think that'll go a long way. So yeah, obviously that's one of the highlights of the season. If we were to do like best moments of the year, I think both of the 7-game win streaks are probably in there. And both of those were under McLellan's watch, pretty close to each other.
Yeah. 2 7-game win streaks were, I think, between a 3 losses and 4 game streak. if I'm recalling correctly, they lost 3 of 4 in between the 2 7-game win streaks. That was incredible hockey, and obviously a lot of that has to do with just confidence. They went out there rejuvenated under their new head coach. New head coach wanted them to just play hockey, play by your instincts, because they're learning on the fly. They don't have necessarily the time, like a training camp, to implement their structure. So they were trying to do it as they played. In the meantime, they're just like, have fun. Go out there and follow your instincts and do what you love. And it resonated. It worked. The flaws were still there, and we saw them come to a head, obviously, in March with another paltry March performance from this team. And that is something to recognize when praising Todd McLellan. It's like, just like Derek Lalonde, this team went on a 6-game losing streak. Well, with Lalonde, it was 7, but that's splitting hairs. This team went on another long losing streak, lost all the progress that they had made. And then we're back to fighting for a playoff spot late in the season yet again. But what I want to highlight is the entire body of work McLellan had, right? And this season, because it's so easy to hone in on March and the 2 7-game win streaks. As a season this year, they were 26, 18, and 4 under Todd McLellan, which, by the way, even for the old heads out there, 26, 18, and 4 is above 500 points percentage if you're just looking, or 500 win record, 500 winning win record. I'm not used to saying it because what is it? It's just the
percentage?
Winning percentage, yes. I'm not used to saying it because we have points percentage in hockey. Right. But 18 plus 4 is only 22 if you're counting their OT losses. So they went 26 and 22 win-loss. That's actually OG over 500 under McLellan. OG over 500, not new age points percentage. And their points, if you prorate that, Scotty, we love the prorating.
Heater. This dude is absolutely on one right now.
We're hitting all the highlights here. We're hitting all the top moments. They were a 95-point pace team under Todd McLellan, which would have put them comfortably in the playoffs. So That's why with a training camp, I have a lot more confidence that this team would perform better and will perform better under Todd McLellan next season, especially if Yzerman does his job and gets an impactful player in free agency. But that's a different topic for a different day. Including, Scotty, talking about hitting the highlights, let's talk about Corsi floor percentage under Todd McLellan. Scotty, this team was dead center in the middle of the pack at 5-on-5 in Corsi floor percentage at 16th in the league. They were like 28th when Lalonde got fired. So in McLellan's tenure from Christmas on, December 27th and on, they were to the end of the season, they were the 16th best team in shot attempt share at 5-on-5 and the 16th best team at expected goals for percentage at 5-on-5. So yes, they were a much better team under Todd McLellan in Todd McLellan's entire body of work the second half of the season that he got as head coach.
I agree. I am also, we talk about the offseason a lot and we talk about what Yzerman needs to do. I do think that it maybe isn't being talked about enough right now, but I'm sure it will be when we get into, end of summer camp and whatnot. But like this is going to be a team that finally gets to hash out and game plan strategies with McLellan for the first time this upcoming season. So I don't want that to get lost on everybody either. So obviously a big improvement over what the Wings started the season with behind the bench, and hopefully that carries over into this fall.
I would very much hope so, because I'm getting tired of doing seasons in review in the middle of April rather than talking about playoff hockey. So
I agree.
Speaking of playoff hockey, isn't it wild that the Dallas Stars have a 2-1 series lead despite only leading for a minute and a half of actual game time?
You might even call it Minnesota Wild.
The Minnesota Wild did that too?
No, I just wanted to. You said Wild, so I
thought maybe the Wild were doing that too. I didn't get the joke. I'm sorry.
No, not quite. They are in the playoffs.
Yeah, they are. They indeed are. Scotty, any final thoughts?
We ball, baby.
We do ball. We'll be back with a new episode on Monday with the third and final installation on this little mini series, and it's going to be titled, So What's Next? What should the Red Wings do this offseason to prevent another step backwards or to propel them forward? Stay tuned to that. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.